Hello and welcome to my individual technical presentation on the Raspberry Pi. My name is Lucas Solskis and I'm a student from Capstone II. Here's an image of what a typical Raspberry Pi would look like and the company's logo. So introduction, why did I choose the Raspberry Pi? I've always been into small form factor computers. They have always fascinated me because of how much they can accomplish at their small size. The Raspberry Pi, as you can see right here, is a very tiny device that fits in this plastic case. You can choose whatever type of case you want, but this is like a standard one that they come with. They're very versatile and can be used many different ways. We will cover that further in the following slides, but they're also super affordable. Like the other day I was checking and you can get an older model Pi 4 or 3 for around $25, but the newer Pi 5 with the higher amount of RAM is going to cost around 150. That comes with like a kit though, so you get like a case, a fan, and the other accessories needed. So what is the Raspberry Pi? I'm sure everyone who's watching this already knows what it is since we're all STEM majors, but the Raspberry Pi is a really powerful and tiny device that works just like a mini computer. It typically runs its own lightweight OS, which I have an example of down here. This is Raspberry Pi OS. There's different models and tiers, but they all essentially do the same thing. They also make different variants, like the Raspberry Pi Zero, which is super electricity efficient and runs in very to little no electricity. And here that is right there. So the history of Raspberry Pis. The first one came out in 2012, and they named it the Model B. Um, Therein came the Model A, the B plus, A plus in the following year, and then that's when the 2, 3, 4, and 5 series begun, which started 2015, and it's currently on the Pi 5 in 2023. I'm not sure if they're coming out with a newer model, but I hope they do because I love them. I even have the Model 5 right here with 8 gigabytes of RAM. So they have different types of series. The keyboard series, which is a Raspberry Pi built into your keyboard or their keyboard, and all you gotta do is plug that into a monitor, and that's the whole computer. They have the Zero series, which is very electricity efficient. The Pico series, which is tiny. It's like a little chip this big, and it's a whole computer. And then the compute modules. The first model was only a 700 megahertz single core 32-bit CPU with the video core 4 GPU and 512 gigs of RAM, or 512 megabytes of RAM. Currently today, with the 2023 Pi 5 model, we have 2.4 gigahertz quad core CPU, excuse me, a video core 7 GPU, has PCIe Express support, and then it goes all the way up to 16 gigabytes of RAM. How is this relevant to my project? Well, the Raspberry Pi is relevant to my project in many different ways. The Raspberry Pi can be an alternative to the server hosting that we use, GoDaddy. You can host the server from the Raspberry Pi to the world, and everyone, all the students and professors can access it uh, through its domain, but it's hosted from the Raspberry Pi. It's an affordable option if it ever happens, and it would be a great plan B just in case funding fails. It can be used for development and testing locally. You can install Docker and all the other necessities for the project, and you can test locally and you can run the code and run the website. You can also access the server from the terminal side if needed through the Raspberry Pi, and you can even SSH into the Raspberry Pi and then access the server through another SSH through the Raspberry Pi, which is crazy, but it works. Websites are run on computers, and this is the simplest form of a computer that you can get. Also, our website is accessible through the Raspberry Pi's internet browser. So different potential diverse usages. Well, there's a bunch, but I'd name some right here. The Raspberry Pi NAS is a network attached storage. Basically, you can have all your pictures and images stored on your own cloud at home, not needing paid for Google or any other type of platform. Pi-hole is a network-wide ad blocker. I actually did this. You can do this to block all the incoming ads on your network. So any type of device, your TV, your computer, your phone, all of it will be blocked through the Pi-hole. There's Home Assistant, which is the localization of all devices. that are connected to the Pi, like devices, I mean smart devices like the lamp or your blinds or garage, anything that's connected to your home can communicate through the Raspberry Pi through Home Assistant. Plex servers, which is like Netflix or Hulu, but with your own content. Arcade consoles, media centers, which is similar to an Apple TV, and even a security management device, which can be like cameras hooked up to your Raspberry Pi, or sensors that trigger when someone walks by. So, in summary, the Raspberry Pi is a versatile and very useful mini computer. Despite getting significantly more powerful over the years, it has remained accessible and affordable. The Raspberry Pi is more than just a hobbyist tool, it has the potential to serve as a platform to develop our website. It can even host it. Thanks to you for learning about this device, and thank you for watching. Here are my references.